Thank you. Thank you so much. You got all the front-end in 2015 in Tel Aviv was the very first ever conference I went to. And I remember seeing all those fantastic speakers on stage, and I could never imagine being here in front of you. So round of applause for amazing organizers that we got yet another edition of this fantastic conference. Okay, so in this talk, I will be covering three things. I will be talking about VR, AR, and all in the context of React applications. And you're probably thinking that it does sound like something from the future. And that is totally correct, because I do believe that we are, in fact, living in the future. But in order to understand the future, I think it's kind of important to go back to the past. And by the way, this is me giving my first talk about HTML tables back in 1996. So I have like 20 years of experience as a tech speaker. I know, impressive, right? So a question. What was the web like 5 years ago? Well, for starters, we had to support IE8. I know that I did, and it was a complete disaster. How many of you still support IE8? Oh, Jesus. Oh, boy. In any case, we didn't have many fancy things that we take for granted today, like PWAs, CSS grid. No, we didn't have those, and today you can use it even on production environment. I mean, for crying out loud, I had no idea how to center stuff in CSS 5 years ago. I needed to use the howtocentercss.com. But we did have the best thing ever to happen to the web, which was, of course, jQuery, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, no library before, no library ever since has changed the web so much as jQuery did. And you might wonder, OK, it's obvious. The web of today is totally different than it was 5 years ago. Well, not exactly. What I would argue here, and by the way, this is my personal opinion, you are more than welcome to disagree, my Twitter handle is over there, is that so much of the web is about having a white background and a list of content that you can scroll down. Like Twitter, Reddit, YouTube with Justin Bieber videos. And don't get me wrong, those are amazing, fantastic websites. I mean, I use Tinder, Twitter daily, and of course YouTube. But I just think there's so much more than this. There are other possibilities that we can explore. And honestly, it's just fun to explore. It's fun to try out new stuff because, one, you never know where it's going to take you, and two, there's nothing like trying something new for the very first time in your life, such as me going to Kiev. Because like I said, we are living in the future. And future is weird. I mean, how weird? Well, as an example, I'm sure I'm not the only one who was kind of expecting that we would have flying cars by now. I mean, it's 2018, come on. And by the way, Elon, this doesn't count. I mean, technically it does because it is a flying car, but I wanted to have a flying car, a bit closer to the ground. And speaking of cars, when I was a small boy, like 20 years ago, my mother used to always tell me, son, you should never, ever get into a car with a stranger. Valid advice. 20 years later, I'm summoning strangers from thin air because I'm way too drunk to go back home after a party. And one more thing, she also told me that I should never sit too close to the TV because then I would damage my eyesight and will have to wear those for the rest of my life, which I do, by the way, because I didn't listen. And 20 years later, I am not sitting too close to the TV. I am wearing the TV on my face, which is probably slightly worse. Anyway, back to the web. In 2018, I do believe that we can do more. And we can do more because we have possibilities, libraries, and frameworks that we didn't have before, such as React. React is my personal favorite, and this talk is going to be about it. And what I like about React is that you can use it for all kinds of crazy things. This is a list, see, lists again on the web, of cool things that you can do with React. So you have React for the web, for native, you have React for Canvas, for terminal, you have React for Word documents, for your TV, for your microwave. OK, maybe not the microwave, but you get my point. The point is that you can do all kinds of things with this library. And we're going to talk about two of those. We will be covering React for AR and React for VR. Let me start with AR, which stands for augmented reality. not to be confused with virtual reality, because this is something else entirely, and promise you I will get to that. And I'm not going to quote Wikipedia here, because this is not the point of a conference talk, but my understanding is that AR is basically a layer on top of the real world. So what does it mean is that you have content that you can see with your own eyes, as in actual things, and on top of those things, you are displaying something that doesn't actually exist. It only exists on the screen of your phone or your tablet, but in the relation to the real-world content. And I think honestly, it's the future. And there are different types of AR. In this talk, I will be covering something called marker-based AR for two reasons. One is the easiest one to get started with, and the second one is that you can run it on Samsung Galaxy S4, for instance, which came out back in 1997. And basically, you can support a wide range of users and devices with it. And by the way, when I mean a marker, I don't mean anything like this, more like this. So this is a marker that AR is going to use to kind of sort of know where it is in relation to the 3D space. And on top of this marker, we're going to see some AR content like this. So as you can see here on this screenshot, which was taken, by the way, from an old Android phone. So basically, you don't need to have a brand new iPhone or a brand new Samsung Galaxy device or whatever to play with it. So you have those actual things like this keyboard and this marker. And on top of this marker, you have AR content. And this just runs on the web, as we're going to see. So today on the web, we have something called React Web AR. And it is an experimental, work in progress, JavaScript library, which is available on GitHub. It was created by this fantastic dude called Nitin Tuswani. And if you were to follow one person on Twitter after this talk, it should definitely be him, because he makes all kinds of fantastic stuff, and I'm just here talking about those. So like, he is the one who's doing actual work. And this is augmented reality on the web with React. And this is basically a React wrapper for AR.js. Not to go into too much detail, AR.js is a JavaScript library that allows us to use AR on the web in the first place. And React Web AR kind of wraps it all together, so we can use it in our existing or brand new React applications. And this is a source code for hello world of AR. And you can see a couple of things here. One is just React. You just keep on writing your own React applications as you are used to, or if you don't know React, this is how React looks like. And what we have here, we have two more new components, such as a frame renderer and a marker. And basically what it does is that when the app is going to see an a-frame renderer, what it's going to do is that, hey, I want you to use AR in this part of the application. And when you happen to see the marker, in this case, it's going to be the default hero marker that you saw a couple of slides before. If you happen to see it, could you get me a blue box? And also, like, please give me some kind of animation to it. So, you know, things are more interesting to look at when they spin, such as the demos in the amazing talk that we just had before. And I did mention that it is experimental. It is work in progress. So I should probably not show it live. Let's totally do this. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to connect my phone, the screen of my phone, to the screen that you can see in front of you. And basically, we'll be able to see exactly what I am displaying on the device. So if you just give me a second for it to connect, you will be able to see the screen of my phone. And honestly, this is kind of weird, because I feel like my privacy is violated. Like, you can see my Spotify, which is odd. Anyway, what we're going to do is that I'm going to load a demo. Your connection is not private. Who gives a OK. It's loading, and it's loaded. So this is an app that I've created that basically it allows me to look around using the camera. But by the way, this is the view from the stage, everyone. Hello. As you can see, I cannot see you, which is odd. In any case, so far nothing interesting is happening. But what I'm going to do is that I have a marker printed over here from a folder. This is an actual folder, folks, not one of those, PCs or computers. OK, where is this marker? I think I've lost it. oh, it's behind here because I didn't want to lose it. So I've hid it from myself. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to point my phone at the marker, and bang, we have this AR box out of the box, and it just works. And what I find really cool about this is that, please work. Oh, there we go. Okay, it sometimes doesn't work because of the lightning, but nevertheless, you can see that with those couple of lines of code, you can have your very first AR experience. It's running on the web. You don't need any plugins whatsoever in order to get started, and it's just going to work. Like, imagine building those stuff in jQuery. It would be probably slightly harder. And what I really like about those things is that you can even use your own custom markers. Because you don't want to be stuck to using, the default marker that you saw just before. I want to use, for instance, a logo of Eurovision Song Contest that was here in Kiev last year. And there's a website for that. So basically what you do, you go there to arjsmarkertraining.com, I think. I mean, you just use Google and find it. You upload an image, and then you can get a trained marker as a result. And how do I use it? It's way too simple. In this marker component you saw before, you just set a preset to custom, and then you supply a pattern URL. I think that this one is not even necessary. Bang, live coding in a slide. There we go. So this is like 4 lines of code, and you can use your very own custom markers, and this is what's it going to look like. So you can see over here in the screenshot that I actually have this Eurovision logo over there, and on top of it, you have this AR content that doesn't actually exist. And this works wonderfully. You can use any image whatsoever for a marker. I even tried to use image of myself, but then the app broke for some reason. Let's move on. Let's go further, because we would like to not only to modify reality. We'd like to change it. In other words, we would like to go into VR, in virtual reality, to travel to different worlds. And today, we do have virtual reality. Also, we have it on the web. We also have it with React. And the question, what is React VR? Well, a better question would be, what was React VR? Confused? So was I. Before I move on, a quick story. So I am one of those speakers who tend to be prepared for a talk quite a bit in advance. Like, I know that some speakers prepared their slides on a flight to the conference. I don't do that. I have my slides prepared like 3 weeks before, my demos, whatever, and then I just practice. And you can just imagine my surprise and my excitement about having to recreate half of this talk because there was a new version of React VR released 3 weeks ago. And in the next slide, you're going to see how excited I was about recreating this talk. In any case, today we have React 360. It was released, like I said, 3 weeks ago. So what you're going to see is a brand new content. It doesn't get any more fresh than that, like, honestly. And this allows us to create exciting 360 and VR experiences using React. And this using React part, I think, is pretty important, because you don't need to have any background in 3D, WebGL, whatsoever to get started. You just need to know a bit of React, and you can create your own VR experiences on the web. How do we get started? Honestly, it's really, really easy. You just go to NPM, install a single package, wait for like 2 weeks, because you know NPM. I'm just kidding, like, this is no longer funny. NPM is too fast. I should create a different joke. And you initialize it with single command. You go to the directory that you've just created and run npm start. And that's it. And what you're going to get as a result is something like this. But this is a static image. Static images are boring, so let me switch to a browser. So this is what you get as a result. You have this VR scene that you can look around. It's 360, so you can look in any way that you want. You have this compass over here that you can kind of know where you are. And also you have this view with this uGatal of front-end text in front of it. And this is a very basic view, because this is, after all, a hello world. But nevertheless, I'm sure you can see the potential behind it. And also, we're going to see how to create something a bit more interesting than that. But nevertheless, 4 commands, and you have your first 360 view running inside of a browser. A couple of years ago, you would need some plugins, or Flash, or jQuery, probably, to get started, and now you just need a single packet from NPM. And this is part of the source code that you just saw from the application. So what we have here, we have a couple of views. You can nest views together, and also we have components like text, images, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through the documentation. And you can style them. You can style them using something called a style sheet. So basically, in React 360, we have CSS in JS. So there are no CSS, no SVG. Sorry, Leah. But you can just create your own style sheets in the code. Before we move on, we need to discuss something called a runtime. I know it sounds scary, but it actually isn't. It's actually quite a simple concept to understand. You need to know that each React 360 application is actually made up of 2 pieces, one of which, is a React application. The second one is the code that's going to actually turn your React components into actual 3D elements. And we're going to refer to the second piece of the code as the runtime. And what I really like about this is that, like I said, you don't need to have any knowledge about 3D WebGL. You just create your React components, and you let the runtime do the work. And this concept becomes easier to understand after we discuss surfaces. So a surface allows us to add 2D interface to 3D space. An example, like every single time I think of VR, I think of Iron Man, because he was in his suit, and he could look around, and he had all those screens in 3D space in front of him. And this is what surfaces allows us to do. You can have 2D interfaces in a 3D space. Because honestly, this is what users are used to. They want to look around in any which way, but nevertheless, they would like to see familiar stuff, such as a 2D interface. And basically, you define those surfaces in the runtime. So in the runtime, you're going to create a surface, or a couple of those, and then you attach your React component to the surface. And that's it. You just let the React 360 do the work for you, and you just keep on writing React. How cool is that? There are 2 types of surfaces. So there's a cylinder, and basically a cylinder is a cylinder that's wrapping the user, and you can attach React components to it, and those components will be put against the surface of the cylinder, so they will be quite curved. And if you don't want this effect, if you want your things to be flat, you can use a flat surface. And I would like to show you an example, because this is difficult to explain, but I think it's much easier when you get to actually see it. So I did mention the Avengers. So this is an app. This is basically an Avengers gallery in VR. So what we have here is a couple of things. This red bar over here is actually a cylinder. So you can see that when I look around, I see those brave Avengers. And this cylinder is always going to be in front of me. And those images, such as Black Widow, Mighty Thor, and Hawkeye, who is in the movies for some reason. So they're on a flat surface. So you will notice that when I'm looking at Hawkeye from an angle, he is way too wide. I need to look directly at him in order for him to regain his normal proportions. So this is the penalty that you're going to get after using a flat surface. So you need to think about whether you want to use a surface, as in a cylinder, or a flat one. And you can see the cylinder can go around, but not entirely. You can have gaps if you want to. For instance, I'm sure that Pikachu should be in Avengers. I don't know. I didn't saw the new movie, so please don't spoil it to me. Please don't. In any case, so this is what you're going to get. You can use a surface to attach your React stuff in this 3D space, and it's actually very easy to use. Let's talk about 3D objects. Because creating stuff from scratch gets quite tedious. And what we like to do is basically we would like to create a 3D model in Blender and just import it into our application. And you can totally do this. There's a component called entity, and you can use entity to assign a 3D model that can be used inside of your web app. This is basically the same as jQuery apps that we used to write in 2012. It's exactly the same. I'm going to load another demo because me and my fiance, we have a bunny, and our bunny likes to party. So this is a bunny party in React 360. So what we have here, we have those jumping bunnies that are jumping around, and those are 3D models that I got for free. Oh, there's a hipster. So basically, I got them for free from a Google Poly, which is an amazing collection of free 3D models that you can use and download. And if you wonder why those bunnies are spinning so rapidly and jumping around, is that I use an animation API. If you ever did any work in React Native, it's exactly the same. You can use animation API. It's actually quite easy to learn, and you can animate your stuff inside of your React 360 applications. Let's move on. Let's talk about events, because we would like our apps to do something. This is why we are getting paid, after all. And I could get through those, but they would be kind of boring, like for me to go one by one. And I know what you're thinking. Like all of this that you just saw, it's cool, but where the hell is VR in all of this? And that is quite a valid question, because even though we have those bunnies, there's this flat screen of a browser. And where the hell is VR? I want my money back. No. I'm not giving you your money back. I have the demo. So this is going to be quite risky, but hey, no worries, no fun. So this is what we're going to do. I'm still showing the screen of my phone, and I have a headset over here. And I will be wearing this headset live on stage, and you're going to you will be able to see exactly what I'm seeing. I just need to switch one setting in the developer tools. And before we move on, there's two things I would like to mention. One, I won't be able to see you. So please, no middle fingers pointed towards me, if that's OK. And the second one, since I won't be able to see you, please, for the love of God, if something goes wrong during the demo, let me know. Because it will be kind of awkward for me to get all excited, and you will have no idea what I'm talking about. OK, so anyway, I'm going in. Can you see something? OK, lovely. So what I'm going to do, I know that quality might be not full HD, but this is because I'm running my own Wi-Fi in here, so it can be quite dodgy. But nevertheless, I think we should be able to see some interesting stuff. Because I'm going to show you that scene that I have prepared for you, and we're going to see a couple of events in action. So it's loaded for me. I'm going to tap this View in VR button, and I will be transformed into this VR world. Can you see it? OK, it's loaded for you. Lovely. So check this out. I can look around, and there's this globe over here. When I look at the globe, it will start to spin. But if I move my head away from the globe, it is no longer spinning, because you have this on-enter, which starts to spin, and on-exit event that makes it no longer spinning. And this is an interesting behavior, because for the very first time on the web, we get to decide which elements are active just by looking at them. We didn't have any on-look event on mobile, on web, or anything like this. And now I can just look at the flag of Spain, and I can see that it's actually selected. So I can tap the button on my headset over here, use the on-click event, and bam, be transported to Spain. Can you see it? Fantastic. Cool thing. I actually took this photo myself using a smartphone, so you don't need to have any specialized 360 equipment of any sort to take those spherical photos. It does take a while. My fiance is sitting over there, waiting, God damn it, can we go? Because I needed a while just to take this photo for you guys. OK, let me move to some other place. Because, yeah, Bruce mentioned it. I am Polish. And I would like to show you the place where I spent the most of my time in Poland, which is, of course, you guessed it, the conference room at work, where I spent 40 hours of every week arguing about tabs and spaces. My compromise to have 3 tabs and 1 space was not accepted, sadly. In any case, a question. What's up with the static background? Because it's all static as it is in a conference room most of the time. Nothing is happening here. And we want things to move. We want things to react. So I'm going to press the button, and we're going to see, finally, a video of puppies. It's loaded for me. Yeah, you can see it. So with just a click of a button, you can transport your users into a different dimensions. You can use the video components to display a video around your users. And actually, it's very convincing. I don't feel like I'm on stage anymore. Like, the stress is 0 right now. And you know why it's so low? Because I cannot see you. And I kind of wish I did. Honestly, I just miss you. All of you are good friends, and we will be friends at the after party, I suppose, all of us. So I have something prepared, because I asked myself this question: what if I wanted to see what's around me? And this is a valid question, right? I cannot see it right now. And there's a component for that, which is called a live end camera. And what it does is allows you to use the camera of my phone as a feed for the VR view. But it's not supported by default inside of a headset. So what I did, since the magic of open source is here, I decided to fork the project and make it work in this headset. So hopefully, I will be able to finally see you. I'm going to tap a View in VR button, and oh, there you are. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. OK, so I'm going to switch to my own eyes. 1, 2, 3, bang. Oh, it's good to see you with my own eyes, by the way. OK, sorry, I can't still see you. Just give me a sec. There we go. Oh, fuck. I can finally see you. But I wanted to see if there's something more. Because what if I wanted to do both? What if I wanted to somehow combine the worlds of AR and VR? In other words, what if I wanted to build my very own HoloLens? Do you know what this is? HoloLens is a device made by Microsoft, but those are basically AR goggles that you put them on your head, and you can interact with AR stuff. In real time, you can just walk around those things, and this is truly fantastic. I tried it once, and I wanted to buy it. And then I saw the price. 5,000. So this is basically like 2 days of my salary, so I'm not going to buy that. I mean, not yet. I'm just kidding. So I am working on a prototype which is web-based. And I'm going to show you a video this time because it makes my phone overheat. And you know what happens to some smartphones when they overheat? And it would be kind of awkward, for me to stay on stage. So I will show you, whoops. I will show you a video instead. So as you saw before, I'm able to see through the headset. So check this out. I can look around. I can interact with the environment in the headset. I can read this book about Angular. I'm not joking. And I can interact with the environment in the vendor. I can pet our bunny. Like, the bunny doesn't seem too happy about it, though, so I would just give it away. Like, there you go, take the bunny. But the most important part is here. I can look at a marker and get AR content in front of my face. I don't need to point my phone at anything. I don't need to, tap any buttons whatsoever. I just need to look at stuff. And I think it's very promising. I'm trying to open sourcing it as soon as it's somewhat stable and it somewhat works. But you know why I did it? I just got curious. I wanted to see what's possible. And this is the message I would like to leave behind, is that the web of today, it offers us truly unlimited possibilities. And honestly, it's just waiting for us to go and explore them together. Thank you so much.